Chapter 3621. Blood Sword Ruler? After a long while, Jian Wushuang calmed himself down. Then he stood up and walked out of the secret chamber. At this moment, Star Palace was no longer as quiet as it used to be. On the contrary, it was very lively. There were hundreds of experts under Star Palace. Although most of them had gone to the 3 battlefields to explore, there were still nearly 80 who stayed in Star Palace. These nearly 80 principals masters were alarmed at this moment, all of them gathered in the void in front of Jian Wushuang's courtyard. Daoist Shen God, Temporal Temple Master, and Heaven Ancestor were also standing there. As Jian Wushuang walked out of his residence, the surrounding heated gazes instantly shot toward him. At the same time, the nearly 80 principals masters also bowed down one after another. We pay our respects to the Blood Sword Ruler. His voice reverberated throughout the entire Star Palace. Ruler. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows, but his expression was rather strange. At this moment, his divine power had already been restrained, and there was not a trace of divine power or aura spreading out. With the naked eyes of these principals masters, they could not see that Jian Wushuang had accumulated any power at all. However, when the principals masters thought of the enormous divine power and movement just now, they had already determined that Jian Wushuang had broken through to the ruler realm. Therefore, as soon as Jian Wushuang came out, they immediately kowtowed. .bg container 632764337b6 display. Flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647. Important however, in reality, Jian Wushuang had not reached the ruler realm. Ha ha, Blood Sword Ruler, congratulations. Hearty laughter rang out. Daoist Shen God, Temporal Temple Master, and Heaven Ancestor also came to Jian Wushuang, and all 3 of them smiled. Seniors, even you. Jian Wushuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. He was not a ruler. Although the principals masters could not see it, the 3 rulers could see it at a glance. However, the 3 of them clearly saw it, but they did not point it out. Instead, they addressed him as a ruler. It's not convenient to say so much here. Let's go to my space, Heaven Ancestor said. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded and then followed the 3 of them to the space. While they were leaving, Daoist Shen God gave an order. Don't mention what happened today to anyone else. Otherwise, you will be severely punished. This order made the Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor feel very strange. Because the 3 of them had said that since so many people had seen Jian Wushuang's breakthrough, it was impossible to stop the transmission of the news. But knowing this, Daoist Shen God still gave such an order. In that special space, in the beautiful manner. Ha ha, little guy, you've finally broken through to Principal's Master. Daoist Shen God laughed very happily. Shen God, pay attention to how you address him. Jian Wushuang has already broken through to Principal's Master. If nothing goes wrong, his strength should be comparable to that of a ruler. His strength is already on par with ours. You can't call him little guy anymore, Temporal Temple Master said. Yes, I was slow. Please don't take offense, Heavenly Sword Marquis. Daoist Shen God apologized on purpose. Jian Wushuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. Seniors, although you have already broken through, you are indeed just a little guy in front of the 3 of you. You can call me that. It doesn't matter. Besides, the 3 of you are from the same era as my master, so it's reasonable to call you that even according to seniority. No. The Temporal Temple Master shook his head. Although in terms of age, we are indeed much older than you. However, from ancient times until now, cultivators have always depended on their strength, not on who is older. Your current strength is no weaker than ours, so naturally, you will communicate with us as equals. This is a rule among cultivators, and you cannot go against it. Yes, my dear Heavenly Sword Marquis, just listen to us. As for your master, you don't have to pay attention to him. He has already fallen. Even if he is still alive, I dare say that he will let you communicate with me as equals, the Heaven Ancestor said. Jian Wushuang smiled bitterly, but he did not refuse again. In that case, I have offended the Black God, Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor. Ha ha, that's more like it. Shen God immediately laughed. My young friend, Although you've just made a breakthrough, you should have some understanding of your current strength, right? Temporal Temple Master looked over. I do have some understanding. I'm certainly not inferior to an ordinary primary ruler in terms of battle strength. As for what will happen when I encounter an advanced ruler, I'm not sure, Jian Wushuang said. He was already very humble. He knew very well that with his full strength, the power of a primary ruler was 3 times stronger than that of a primary ruler. In addition, he had created an advanced level 7 secret skill. Even if he encountered an advanced ruler, he would still be able to fight against an ordinary primary ruler. He would definitely be able to crush them. After hearing Jian Wushuang's words, the eyes of the 3 rulers lit up. Daoist Shen God added, since you can't make an accurate judgment, let us help you. Heaven Ancestor, it's better for you to fight with this little guy. I have no objection. The Heaven Ancestor nodded. In that case, please enlighten me, Heaven Ancestor. Jian Wushuang smiled. In this space-time, Jian Wushuang and the Heaven Ancestor fought again. The last time they fought, Jian Wushuang was just testing the strength of his divine body, so he did not dodge the attack of the Heaven Ancestor. Instead, he used his divine body to receive it. But in this battle, the 2 of them were going to fight head-on. Although in this space-time, their strength was limited, so they might not be able to completely let go of their hands and feet, but in some simple exchanges, was enough for them to have a certain understanding of each other's strength. Boom! 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 A series of terrifying explosions could be heard in this space-time. Jian Wushuang and the Heaven Ancestor were fighting madly in this space-time. Every time they collided, the space-time would tremble violently as if it could not withstand the power of the 2. In the end, the space-time was even on the verge of collapse. Soon, an hour passed, and the space-time was on the verge of collapse. At this time, Jian Wushuang and the Heaven Ancestor finally stopped. The 2 put away their magic weapons and stood together. Daoist Shen God and Temporal Temple Master, who had been watching the battle, also walked over. However, at this moment, Daoist Shen God, Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor, who had been fighting Jian Wushuang, all had strange expressions on their faces. My dear Heavenly Sword Marquis, you didn't use your full strength just now, did you? The Heaven Ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang seriously. Well, Jian Wushuang just laughed dryly. I knew it. The Heaven Ancestor sighed heavily. I could tell from your calm and composed look when you fought with me that you didn't use your full strength, but even so, you still completely suppressed me. Chapter 36-22. Trouble. He really didn't use his full strength. Daoist Shen God and Temporal Temple Master nodded to themselves. They had clearly seen the battle just now. Apart from some of his trump cards and life-saving methods, the Heaven Ancestor had indeed used all of his strength. But what about Jian Wushuang? From the beginning to the end, he had been very casual and relaxed. No matter what kind of attack the Heaven Ancestor used, he could easily resolve it. Even if he used his swordsmanship casually, it would still be extremely terrifying. It was so relaxed and comfortable that it was obvious that he had not used all of his strength. Even so, the battle in the last hour had been one-sided. The Heaven Ancestor had been completely suppressed by Jian Wushuang. It seems that your strength is much stronger than we thought after you broke through to Principal's Master, Daoist Shen God said. That's normal. During the years I was trapped, my cultivation of Sword Principle had improved greatly. I have created advanced Level 7 Absolute Arts. As for elementary Level 7 Absolute Arts, I have created many of them. Now that I have made a breakthrough, my strength is no weaker than that of an ordinary ruler. With the advantage of the Absolute Arts, I can indeed gain the upper hand when fighting with an ordinary elementary ruler. Of course, the Heaven Ancestor must have held back a little, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Don't hold back for me. I know very well whether you have held back or not. The Heaven Ancestor curled his lips. Jian Wushuang could only smile. .bg container 632764337b6 display. Flex direction. Column align items. Center justify content. Center Z index. 214-748-3647. Important not bad. To have such strength right after breaking through is already much stronger than we expected. If you can get a suitable Supreme Treasure Divine Weapon, your strength should be even stronger, Daoist Shen God said. Shen God, is there any result for the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword? Jian Wushuang immediately looked at Daoist Shen God. Before he went into seclusion, Daoist Shen God had told him that he would find a way to get a Supreme Treasure Divine Sword for him. Now that 3,000 years had passed, there should be a result. That divine sword is a bit troublesome. Daoist Shen God frowned. Troublesome? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. My young friend, I told you before that the most powerful supreme treasure, the divine sword, is in the hands of an extremely powerful ruler, who is also the leader of a major force. Daoist Shen God said seriously, originally, I had prepared sufficient resources. Not to say that I could completely impress him, but using these things I prepared to exchange for the most powerful supreme treasure, which he doesn't need at all. He should have definitely made a profit. The possibility of him agreeing should be very high, but the result was completely beyond my expectations. Did he refuse? Jian Wushuang asked. It would be easy if he refused on the spot. Since he refused so decisively, it means that the supreme true treasure divine sword is not useless to him. On the contrary, he may value it more. For example, if an expert who specializes in sword principle breaks through to become a ruler, he can leave the divine sword to him. But the key point is that he did not refuse directly at the beginning. He paused for a moment. Daoist Shen God continued, he didn't reject me directly. Instead, he asked me who I wanted to give the supreme treasure sword to. Since the ruler had nothing to do with the sacred island and had no grudge with my star palace, I didn't think too much about it and said that it was for you. Unexpectedly, the ruler immediately changed his mind and said that he would never give you the supreme treasure sword. What? Jian Wushuang was stunned. At first, he did not refuse, but when he heard that Daoist Shen God would give him the divine sword, he immediately changed his face. It was obvious that the ruler had a lot of opinions about him. What's going on, my young friend? Apart from Sacred Island, have you offended other rulers in this territory? Temporal Temple Master looked at him. Well, I don't know. Although I've been in the 3 battlefields for a while, I haven't really offended many experts. As for the rulers, I've been in the 3 battlefields for a long time, but I've never met any other rulers except those from Sacred Island, Jian Wushuang said. He was puzzled. When he was in the 3 battlefields, he had been very careful and did not offend any experts, let alone the rulers. Why did any of the rulers have such a strong opinion of him? Shen God, what's going on? Temporal Temple Master looked at Shen God. I asked and the ruler told me the reason. It does have something to do with the Heavenly Sword Marquis. Shen God took a deep breath. He asked, Heavenly Sword Marquis, when you were in Devil Smoke Valley, did you have any dealings with the people of the North Sea Palace? The North Sea Palace? Jian Wushuang's pupils constricted. Among all the forces in this territory, the North Sea Palace, which was ranked in the top 3, could be said to be a ruler in this territory. Jian Wushuang really had dealings with the North Sea Palace. Could it be them? Jian Wushuang's face darkened. He said, when I was wandering in Devil Smoke Valley, I met with the Xianxia Master and the Red Eye Master. The Xianxia Master and the Red Eye Master worked together to search for prey in the 9 Twists Demon Cave in the depths of Devil Smoke Valley and forcibly seized the treasures in each other's hands. At that time, they found me. What happened in the end? Daoist Shen God asked. They were strong, but they were not as skilled as me. I was fine during the encounter, but they suffered a great loss, Jian Wushuang said. Not just a great loss. I heard from the ruler that you almost killed the Red Eye Master during the encounter, Daoist Shen God said strangely. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. If they wanted to kill me, I would fight back with all my strength. If I had the chance to kill one of them, I wouldn't show any mercy. Red Eye Master underestimated me and was severely taught a lesson. If it weren't for one of the masters, she would have been dead. That's it. Daoist Shen God shrugged. The ruler who has the supreme treasure divine sword is one of the leaders of the North Sea Palace, Master Sky Rock. He is also the strongest expert in the North Sea Palace. The Red Eye Master who almost died in your hands is one of his direct descendants. Direct descendants? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. My young friend, you might not know this, but the Sky Rock ruler is an extremely ancient ruler. He rose to power very early. When he rose to power, His family soared to the sky because of him and became a great ruler of his Fang Xianxia. He has stood tall and firm for a long time. After so many years, there are many members in his family, and naturally, some of them are extremely talented. Chapter 3623. Going to the North Sea Palace. The Red-Eye Master is the most outstanding of the junior disciples of the clan which Sky Rock ruler belongs to. She is highly regarded by this Sky Rock ruler. In fact, Sky Rock ruler once personally guided her for a period of time. In the North Sea Palace, she received far more treatment than many Peak 6 stage experts, and you nearly killed her. Daoist Shen God sighed. Of course, you didn't kill the Red-Eye Master, and the Red-Eye Master provoked you, so the Sky Rock ruler wouldn't lower himself to deal with you. However, not dealing with you doesn't mean that he doesn't care about it. Therefore, when he found out that I was going to give you the divine sword, he changed his mind. Is that so? Jian Wushuang was stunned. The Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor were also puzzled. What bad luck! Jian Wushuang could not help sighing. I have been in the 3 battlefields for a long time, and the only one who has a grudge with me is the Red-Eye Master. I didn't expect the Red-Eye Master to have such a great background. Moreover, the most powerful supreme treasure magic weapon happened to be in the hands of Master Sky Rock. Jian Wushuang felt bitter in his heart. He was indeed unlucky. The only person who had a grudge against him happened to have a close relationship with Master Sky Rock. If I had known, I would have just run away when I was forced by Xianxia Master and Red-Eye Master. Jian Wushuang felt a little regretful. There's no other way. Even in the North Sea Palace, not many people knew about the relationship between Red-Eye Master and Master Sky Rock, and the outside world didn't know about it. They only treated her as an ordinary expert of the North Sea Palace. In the end, that's all that happened, Daoist Shen God said. If that's the case, I'm afraid this supreme true treasure sword is really troublesome. Jian Wushuang's face darkened slightly. How could a person who almost killed his beloved junior disciple be willing to give this sword to me? If it were me, I wouldn't be willing either. .bg container 632764337b6 display. Flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647. Important, that's why he sent me away earlier, Daoist Shen God said calmly. Suddenly, his expression changed. Although this matter is very troublesome and it's impossible for him to exchange the supreme treasure divine sword for ours, there's still a way to get it. What way? Jian Wushuang, the Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor immediately looked over. I only thought of it after I saw the divine body of the divine Marquis, which is comparable to an elementary universe supreme treasure. The Daoist Shen God smiled slightly, then he said, you 3 should have heard of the Sky Rock ruler. He is a superior ruler, and his strength is far stronger than ours. In addition, his North Sea Palace is one of the top 3 forces in this territory. He must be very arrogant. Arrogant? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Yes, arrogant. And that's what we're going to use. Daoist Shen God smiled and explained his plan briefly. After listening to Daoist Shen God, Jian Wushuang, Temporal Temple Master, and the Heaven Ancestor all looked very strange. This method is really stupid. Jian Wushuang could not help but say. Ha ha, the method is a little stupid, but it might actually work. Heaven Ancestor smiled. Yes, but you still have to be careful. Don't go too far. After all, it's the territory of the North Sea Palace. If you go too far and force the Master Sky Rock into a corner, it's hard to guarantee that he won't do anything. Temporal Temple Master smiled strangely. By the way, is that why you ordered the experts of Star Palace not to spread the news of the Heavenly Sword Marquis breakthrough? Yes. Daoist Shen God nodded. What I said is indeed a little stupid. Moreover, this method can only be used before the news is completely spread. That is to say, when the Sky Rock ruler believes that the Heavenly Sword Marquis is only a Principal's Master, he might be fooled. However, if the news is completely spread and everyone knows that the Sky Rock ruler has made another breakthrough to become a ruler, then the Sky Rock ruler might not be fooled. Although the Heavenly Sword Marquis is still a Principal's Master and hasn't reached the level of a ruler, he might still be wary of Jian Wushuang's breakthrough in the Star Palace. That's why I gave the order. Of course, Although I gave the order, I know clearly that it's impossible for the experts in the Star Palace to carry it out. Therefore, the news will definitely spread. However, it won't be so brazen, and it won't spread too fast. That gives us time to complete the task. In other words, we have to go to the North Sea Palace and get the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword before the news spreads to the North Sea Palace? Temporal Temple Master said in a deep voice. That's right. Daoist Shen God nodded. The North Sea Palace is one of the top 3 forces in this territory. They have many universal passageways in this territory. I know one that can help us get to the North Sea Palace as quickly as possible. If nothing goes wrong, we can get there before the news reaches the North Sea Palace, Daoist Shen God said. Jian Wushuang understood what had happened and let out a sigh of relief. He said, I had planned to return to the Divine Beginning Realm to open the seal and return to my hometown after my breakthrough. But now it seems that I have to put this matter aside and wait until I come back from the North Sea Palace. Jian Wushuang felt a little regretful, but he soon looked up again with a fierce gleam in his eyes. Let's not delay. Shen God, let's go to the North Sea Palace now. Okay. Daoist Shen God nodded. They immediately rushed to the North Sea Palace as fast as they could. As for the Temporal Temple Master and the Heaven Ancestor, they did not participate in it. After all, Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God were going for the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword, and their opponent was the North Sea Palace of the Sky Rock ruler, which had the strength of a top-tier ruler. Moreover, there was not only one ruler in the North Sea Palace, so they could not force him like when they had obtained the Netherfire Blood Crystal. They could only use their wits. They had already made a plan, and only Jian Wushuang and Shen God were needed to complete it. The North Sea Palace was one of the rulers of this territory. The 3 palace masters of the North Sea Palace were all experts at the ruler realm, especially the Sky Rock ruler, who was widely recognized as a top-tier ruler. Among all the rulers in this territory, he was definitely one of the strongest rulers in this territory. The North Sea Palace was located in the east of this territory, and its base was also on Earth Star. However, the North Sea Palace occupied a total of 3 Earth stars, and its scale was not something the Star Palace could compare to. Chapter 36-24. In the North Sea Palace. This is the North Sea Palace? It's so grand. Jian Wushuang stood in the void of the universe and looked at the 3 triangular-shaped world stars in front of him. The 3 world stars were connected with each other in a magic formation. Although they were 3 huge world stars, they looked like a whole. After all, he is one of the rulers of this territory, so of course he is generous. Daoist Shen God said, follow me. Daoist Shen God brought Jian Wushuang to one of the Earth stars very quickly. However, because of the existence of the magic formation, they could not enter the Earth star directly. I have already sent a message to the people of the North Sea Palace. Someone will come to pick us up soon. My young friend, when we enter the North Sea Palace and meet the Master Yunchen, you must do as I told you on the way. We must cooperate with each other so that we can trick the Master Sky Rock, Daoist Shen God warned. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. It did not take long for a figure to walk out from the sector star. It was a middle-aged man in a white robe with a gentle face. Jian Wushuang recognized him the moment he saw him. Master Yunchen, one of the 7 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm in the North Sea Palace. He is also the personal disciple of the Master Sky Rock. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. There were not many ultimate experts of the 6 realms in this territory, but the North Sea Palace had a total of 7. This showed how powerful the North Sea Palace was. As for Master Yunchen, although Jian Wushuang had never met him, he had read his information. Master Shen God, you are here again. Master Yunchen bowed slightly to Daoist Shen God after he arrived. When he raised his head, he looked at Jian Wushuang, and his expression immediately turned cold. .bg container 632764337b6 display. Flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647. Important you are, Blood Sword Master? Master Yunchen's voice became low. Master Yunchen knew that Jian Wushuang had caused such a huge commotion in Devil Smoke Valley and was now recognized as the strongest principles master in this territory. He had also seen the mirror image of Jian Wushuang fighting with the 5 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm. He remembered Jian Wushuang's appearance, so he recognized him at a glance. Compared to the mirror image, Master Yunchen's heart was slightly moved when he saw Jian Wushuang in person. Although Jian Wushuang had restrained his divine power and he could not sense any aura, just standing there made him feel an extremely dangerous aura. This aura, he had never sensed it from other Principles Masters. It's said that Blood Sword Master is the strongest Principles Master in this territory. I had some doubts before, but now it seems that he is indeed the strongest, Master Yunchen muttered to himself. After all, he was also an expert at the pinnacle of the Sixth Realm. Among the many experts at the pinnacle of the Sixth Realm in this territory, he was also extremely powerful. However, Jian Wushuang gave him a sense of danger just by standing there and not making a move. Jian Wushuang must be much stronger than him. Hello, Master Yunchen. Jian Wushuang greeted Master Yunchen with a smile. I didn't expect you, Blood Sword Master, to come to the North Sea Palace in person. I'm surprised. Master Yunchen gave Jian Wushuang a deep look and then waved his hand. Follow me. Master Yunchen immediately led the way. With the guidance of Master Yunchen, the magic formation of the North Sea Palace did not make things difficult for Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God. They soon entered the North Sea Palace. When they arrived at the North Sea Palace, many experts of the North Sea Palace immediately noticed the presence of Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God. Look, among the two people following Master Yunchen, is the person carrying the divine sword, the Blood Sword Master. Yes, it's him. I've seen the battle between him and the 5 Blood Spirit Kings. It's exactly the same. It really is the Blood Sword Master. He actually came to our North Sea Palace? The person beside the Blood Sword Master seems to be a ruler. Could it be the one from Star Palace? It's him. Not long ago, the Palace Master of Star Palace also came to our North Sea Palace. Last time, he came alone, but this time, he actually brought the Blood Sword Master with him. What are they trying to do? The entire North Sea Palace began to discuss. Because the North Sea Palace had 3 Earth stars, Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God only appeared on one of them. However, the experts of the North Sea Palace did not see them on the other 2 Earth stars. The 2 Earth stars were still very calm. On one of the Earth stars stood a huge golden tower. This golden tower had a total of 33 floors and was extremely majestic. This tower was extremely famous in the North Sea Palace and was one of the most important cultivation resources in the North Sea Palace. There was only one use for this golden tower, and that was to temper the strength of one's soul. It was precisely because of this that experts from the North Sea Palace would often wander around the golden tower, making their souls stronger and more resilient. At that moment, on the 30th floor of the golden tower, there was a beautiful woman wearing a purplish-red robe. Her eyes were strangely red, which meant that the Red-Eye Master was sitting there cross-legged. She allowed the surrounding waves of soul power to madly charge at her. She forced her eyes to clench their teeth and forcefully endure the soul power. What she was good at was the soul, and the soul attack from the Golden Tower was a form of cultivation for her. It could make her soul stronger faster. At this moment, Red-Eye, a communication token in her interspatial ring started to vibrate crazily. Red-Eye Master opened her eyes and took out her communication token. She replied, Xiang, what's wrong? Are you still training your soul power? On the other end of the token, Xiang Master's voice sounded urgent. Yes. Red-Eye Master was puzzled. She and Xiang Master had quite a good relationship. Previously, the two of them had been adventuring in the depths of Devil Smoke Valley together, and they had even worked together to snatch treasures from various experts. However, it had not been long before the two of them had returned to the North Sea Palace. All these years, she had been training her soul power. As for Xiang Master, she had also stopped adventuring and remained in the North Sea Palace. Stop training. Quick, come to this Earth Star of mine and become the ruler of this place, Xiang Master said hurriedly. What's going on? Red-Eye Master was even more puzzled. It's Blood Sword Master, Xiang Master said suddenly. Upon hearing this name, Red-Eye Master was instantly stunned, and her gaze instantly turned cold. Blood Sword Master. This name had always been engraved in her heart force. She had never forgotten it. Back in Devil Smoke Valley, she had nearly died at the hands of this Blood Sword Master. Chapter 3625. Skyrock Ruler. What's wrong with Blood Sword Master? Red-Eye Master asked in a low voice. He's here. He came to our North Sea Palace personally. He's on this Earth star. It seems he's here to look for the ruler. Xianxia Master said. What did you say? Red Eye Master was furious. Furious to the extreme. One had to know that she, Red Eye Master, was born very high. Her family was the ruler of the astral world, and the person in power behind her was the strongest person in the North Sea Palace, ruler Sky Rock. It could be said that her background was extraordinary, and her talent was also extremely high. She had not been born for too long, but she had already reached the level of a 6th grade principal's master. Furthermore, she had extremely high attainments in the aspect of the soul. Even ruler Sky Rock doted on her very much. It was also because of this that she had rarely encountered any major setbacks or trouble along the way. As for the dangerous ones, she had encountered them before, but there had never been a time when she had been so close to death. After all, many of the upper echelons of the North Sea Palace had held her in their hands. But that time in Devil Smoke Valley. That time, the Red Eye Master had encountered this Bloodsword Master. At that time, Bloodsword Master was only a well-known principal's master. Although she had some strength, it was nothing in Red Eye Master's eyes, not to mention that she had a Xianxia Master by her side. Therefore, when they met Jian Wushuang in the Nine Twists Demon Cave, they thought they were going to take him down. However, she did not expect that Jian Wushuang, whom she did not care about, had shown his terrifying strength and skills. Most importantly, his amazing plan had forced her into a desperate situation. That battle, she was lucky. In addition, Xianxia Master had saved her at the fastest speed possible. However, if she was a little less lucky or Xianxia Master had come a little slower, she would have died. BG Container 632764337B6 Display, Flex Direction, Column Align Items, Center Justify Content, Center Z Index, 214-748-3647. Important, it could be said that it was indeed the closest she had come to death. That was why she held a grudge against Jian Wushuang. After the incident, she frantically used the power of the North Sea Palace to search for Jian Wushuang, hoping to avenge herself. However, she did not expect that Jian Wushuang would completely disappear not long after meeting them. Moreover, he had been missing for nearly 100,000 years. At that time, Red Eye Master thought that Jian Wushuang had died. Therefore, she could only accept the fact and did not continue to pursue the matter. However, who knew that Jian Wushuang, who had been missing for nearly 100,000 years, suddenly appeared again. Moreover, he had defeated 5 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm by himself in an invincible manner among principal's masters. The Red Eye Master could not accept such a terrible result at first, but she could not do anything about it. After that battle, the senior officials of the North Sea Palace had decided to let the matter go as long as Jian Wushuang did not provoke the North Sea Palace. This made the Red Eye Master even angrier. But she also knew very well that even the North Sea Palace would not easily provoke a supreme expert who could be called the strongest among the principal's masters. There was nothing wrong with the decision of the higher-ups of the North Sea Palace. Even her backer, the Sky Rock ruler, did not stand up for her. This lets the Red Eye Master also very helpless, also can only put down that matter first. But who would have thought that she had already decided to let it go and no longer bother with the Bloodsword Master? But the other party did not give up and actually took the initiative to find her in the North Sea Palace, and also to find the Master Sky Rock. This Bloodsword Master is really courting death. Red Eye Master's eyes were burning with flames. Without hesitation, she immediately left the Golden Tower and rushed toward the Earth Star where Jian Wushuang was located. On the other side, although many experts of the North Sea Palace were discussing this Earth Star, no one dared to follow Jian Wushuang's path. Under the guidance of Master Yunchen, Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God soon arrived at the palace where Master Heaven Rock lived. It was called a palace, but upon entering it, one would find that it was a vast grassland. On the grassland, there were thousands of fierce beasts, some big and some small, and some strong and some weak, but without exception, they had all been completely tamed. On this prairie, they were like ordinary livestock, actually eating grass. And on top of one of the tall fierce beasts, a barefooted man wearing a thunder shirt was lazily lying there. In the end, he even had a weed in his mouth. This barefooted man was the Sky Rock ruler. As for the grassland and the tens of thousands of beasts, they were all deliberately created by the Sky Rock ruler in order to reminisce about the past. No one knew that the Sky Rock ruler was actually just a cowherd in the mortal world from the very beginning. It was only because of the drastic changes in his family that he began to grow up step by step. He rose up step by step and experienced a long period of time. Only now did he become one of the most powerful figures in this region. Master Black God has arrived. Someone stood there in the air above him, then bowed respectfully towards Sky Rock ruler, who was seated atop the savage beast. Sky Rock ruler. Daoist Shen God bowed slightly as well. Although they were both rulers, there was a massive difference in power between them. When faced with Sky Rock ruler, Daoist Shen God truly had to show a hint of humility and even reverence. Shen God, you're here again. And this time, you even brought the little guy here. It seems that you still don't want to give up. The Sky Rock ruler remained motionless on the beast and did not look at Daoist Shen God. Daoist Shen God smiled slightly and then gave Jian Wushuang a look. Jian Wushuang took a step forward and bowed. Blood Sword greets the Sky Rock ruler. Little guy, I know you. You defeated 5 experts of the pinnacle of the 6th realm by yourself. Now everyone in this territory says that you are the #1 Principal's Master. No Principal's Master in the North Sea Palace is as strong as you. Master Sky Rock's voice sounded slowly, but you are too bold. How dare you come to the North Sea Palace in person? Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? You must be joking, ruler. I don't have any deep enmity with the North Sea Palace. If that's the case, why wouldn't I dare to come? Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Oh, really? The Sky Rock ruler finally raised his head and looked at Jian Wushuang with his dark eyes. It seemed that he was going to see through Jian Wushuang completely. However, Jian Wushuang was no longer the same as before. He still stood there calmly in the face of Master Sky Rock's gaze. At this moment, Blood Sword Master, how dare you? A fierce shout suddenly sounded in the void. Chapter 36:26. Narrow-minded. This voice was filled with monstrous fury. With a flash, the Red-Eye Master appeared beside Sky Rock ruler, accompanied by the Xianxia Master. Clan Master. Ruler. Both the Red-Eye Master and the Xianxia Master bowed respectfully to Sky Rock ruler. The Red-Eye Master was a descendant of the Sky Rock ruler's clan, so he had always addressed the Sky Rock ruler as the Clan Master. Yes. The Sky Rock ruler only nodded slightly. The Red-Eye Master's eyes flashed and instantly fixed on Jian Wushuang. Blood Sword Master, how dare you come to the North Sea Palace? I don't have any life-and-death feud with the North Sea Palace, so why wouldn't I dare? Jian Wushuang smiled. HMPH, no feud? Don't forget that you almost killed me in the 9 Twists Demon Cave. Isn't this still a feud? The Red-Eye Master snorted. Red-Eye Master, it was you and the Xianxia Master who came to me first in the 9 Twists Demon Cave. It was you two who wanted to kill me first. I was just fighting back normally. Do you think that if you two want to kill me, I can only let you kill me without any resistance? If that's the case, then your North Sea Palace is too overbearing, Jian Wushuang shouted in a low voice. You really know how to quibble. Red-Eye Master smiled coldly and then looked at Master Sky Rock. Master, Blood Sword Master almost killed me in the 9 Twists Demon Cave. If Xianxia Master hadn't arrived in time, I would have died. BG Container 632764437B6 Display, Flex Direction, Column Align Items, Center Justify Content, Center Z Index, 214-748-3647. Important. I didn't want to bring it up again, but I didn't expect Blood Sword Master to come to the North Sea Palace. This is too much. If I don't punish him severely, people will think that the North Sea Palace is easy to bully. So, please help me, Master. Red-Eye Master knelt down and said in a loud voice. Master Sky Rock's face darkened slightly. He glanced at Jian Wushuang and asked, Blood Sword Master, why did you come here today? Master Sky Rock, to tell you the truth, I came here today to apologize, Jian Wushuang said. Apologize? Master Sky Rock was surprised. Red-Eye Master looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Jian Wushuang smiled. He said, I know that there was some unhappiness between Red-Eye Master and Xianxia Master. Although it was Red-Eye Master and Xianxia Master who provoked me, in the end, it was Red-Eye Master who suffered a loss. However, I didn't know about the relationship between Red Eye Master and Master Sky Rock. Now that I know, I have to apologize. Upon hearing Jian Wushuang's words, Red Eye Master snorted and said, "You're smart." Master Sky Rock also nodded slightly. "Since you didn't know about it before, and it didn't cause too much of a consequence, and now you've taken the initiative to apologize, then this matter is completely understood. From now on, the North Sea Palace will not mention it again." "Thank you, Master Sky Rock." Jian Wushuang smiled. "Ha ha, it seems that the misunderstanding has been resolved." Daoist Shen God's laughter rang out at this moment. "Master Sky Rock, since this matter has been completely settled, then what I told you before." Master Sky Rock's expression suddenly turned cold. "Shen God, I guess that you must have come because of the previous matter." Daoist Shen God laughed awkwardly. "HMPH, you're right. The matter between the Blood Sword Ruler and Red Eye has indeed been put behind us, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened before. Do you think that just because you dragged the Blood Sword Ruler over to my North Sea Palace to apologize and give me a way out, I'll agree to that?" HMPH. Sky Rock Ruler let out a cold snort. "Let me tell you this. Although your Star Palace and my North Sea Palace weren't enemies, we definitely weren't on very good terms. As for what you said just now, don't even think about it." Upon hearing Sky Rock Ruler's words, Daoist Shen God's face instantly changed. "Sky Rock Ruler, do you really not have any leeway at all?" "Not at all." The Sky Rock Ruler waved his hand decisively. It was obvious that he had already made up his mind. He would never give the Supreme Treasure Divine Sword to Daoist Shen God. Even if Daoist Shen God brought Jian Wushuang here to apologize and put the matter of the Red Eye behind him, he would not agree. Daoist Shen God's expression turned somewhat ugly when he saw the Sky Rock Ruler's spear shadow attitude. At this moment, Jian Wushuang, who was beside him, exploded. "Humph, Palace Master, did you see that?" Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold. "I've said before that even if I take the initiative to apologize and lower myself, they will never agree to that. After all, this is the North Sea Palace, one of the top forces in this territory. The Sky Rock Ruler is one of the top 3 rulers in this territory. Such a ruler is very arrogant. He won't take our sincerity seriously." Before Jian Wushuang could finish his sentence, "Blood Sword, don't talk nonsense," Daoist Shen God immediately interrupted him. "What? Did I say something wrong? Since I've offended the North Sea Palace, it doesn't matter if I'm here to apologize or what I've done. The North Sea Palace will hold a grudge against me. As for the Sky Rock Ruler, he may be very strong, but is still arrogant and self-righteous. He's as narrow-minded as the average superior." Jian Wushuang sneered. There was even a hint of disdain in his eyes. Not only Daoist Shen God, but the other principals masters of the North Sea Palace were also shocked. "Blood Sword Master, how dare you?" Red Eye Master was completely enraged. She carefully glanced at Ruler Sky Rock from the corner of her eyes. As expected, Ruler Sky Rock's face turned completely gloomy. "Boy, what did you say just now?" Master Sky Rock stared at Jian Wushuang with a cold gaze. A terrifying aura was slowly gathering on his body. "Master Sky Rock, I'm sorry. This little guy has only cultivated for a short time and acted too rashly. He offended you and the North Sea Palace with his words. I'm here to apologize. I hope you don't mind." Daoist Shen God immediately apologized. However, Jian Wushuang was even more unhappy. "Palace Master, why are you apologizing? I've already said that Master Sky Rock is arrogant. As long as you offend him, it's useless no matter what you do afterward. Moreover, he's a narrow-minded villain, but on the surface, he looks like a sanctimonious person." "What a joke. Shut up. Don't mess around." Daoist Shen God was completely anxious. The ruler's gaze became completely cold and emotionless as well. The nearby Red Eye Master was frightened by this gaze. Chapter 3627. Giving you a chance. I've never seen such a terrifying gaze from the clan leader. Red Eye Master was alarmed. Beside him, Master Yunchen and Shiyang Master were also throbbing their throats. Is this Blood Sword Master courting death? How dare he say such words? Does he not know who he is facing? Shiyang Master was secretly amazed. What kind of figure was the Sky Rock ruler? He was a supreme ruler, an almost invincible existence in this territory. Such a figure was absolutely high and aloof in this territory. As for Jian Wushuang, he was just a principal's master. Although he was publicly recognized as the strongest principal's master, he was still a principal's master. In front of the Sky Rock ruler, he was still a little guy. However, this little guy actually pointed at the Sky Rock ruler's nose and called him a narrow-minded person in the North Sea Palace. In front of his disciples and juniors, was he not courting death? Everyone present thought that Jian Wushuang was crazy. They looked at him as if he was a fool. However, Jian Wushuang did not pay attention to them. He continued, "Master Sky Rock, I know that you are high and mighty, but because of that, you can't help the Red Eye Master because of your status. TSK, this is really embarrassing. Boy, have you said enough?" Master Sky Rock finally spoke. His voice was as cold as ice. .bg container 632764337b6 display. Flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647. Important: the surrounding air had also been completely frozen, and a faint killing intent had surrounded the space. "What? Do you want to fight?" Jian Wushuang smiled. "If you want to fight, then don't hold back. Just fight. Let me see what you are capable of, the high and mighty Sky Rock ruler." At this point, a normal person would have already attacked, but Master Sky Rock did not. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang. He wanted to see through Jian Wushuang, but no matter how he looked at him, he could not figure out what was going on. "Why aren't you fighting? I gave you a chance. Are you afraid that if you kill me here, the experts will laugh at you and bully me in your own territory?" Jian Wushuang laughed heartily. "If you're really afraid, let's make a bet. You can kill me within 10 breaths. If I die in your hands within 10 breaths, then I deserve it. My palace master will not complain about the North Sea Palace, and he will come out and explain to the outside world that I offended you and was killed by you. You don't have to worry about being called a bully. But if I don't die in 10 breaths, I want what I want. What do you think?" After saying that, Jian Wushuang looked at the Sky Rock ruler. But after hearing him, the Sky Rock ruler's expression and eyes became calm. "That thing?" The Sky Rock ruler smiled faintly. "Sure enough, you've said so much, but your ultimate goal is still that thing." Jian Wushuang was stunned, and Daoist Shen God's heart sank. The process of meeting the Sky Rock ruler in the North Sea Palace was discussed by Jian Wushuang and Daoist Shen God. Their goal was to obtain the supreme true treasure divine sword of the Sky Rock ruler. However, the problem was that the Sky Rock ruler was an ancient ruler who had lived for God knows how many years. It was not easy for them to scheme against such a ruler as expected. Master Sky Rock saw through their real purpose at a glance. "Ha, I admit that my ultimate goal is to get the thing in your hand. But at the same time, Master Sky Rock, do you dare to say that you don't want to kill me at all?" Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. "I can clearly feel the killing intent that filled this space and time just now. Even now, the killing intent hasn't completely disappeared." "Indeed. Before I met you, I did not have any killing intent toward you. However, I do now," the Sky Rock ruler coldly said. His killing intent had indeed risen. After all, he was an incomparably aloof ruler. Over the many years, no one had ever dared to speak to him in such a manner. Moreover, they had even pointed at his nose and scolded him. Even an ordinary person would not be able to endure this, much less him. In the face of such humiliation, it would be a joke if he did not make a move. Although he knew that Jian Wushuang was deliberately luring him to make a move, Jian Wushuang's plan was bound to succeed. "Boy, just as you said, 10 breaths is too long. As a mere principal's master, no matter how strong you are among principal's masters, 1 breath is enough for me to kill you," said the Sky Rock ruler. "1 breath? Then I'll let you do it, Master Sky Rock." Jian Wushuang smiled happily. Not only Jian Wushuang, but Daoist Shen God, who was behind him, looked anxious, but he was also very happy. Others did not know Jian Wushuang's real strength, but he knew it very well. He already had the strength of a ruler, and he had a divine body that was comparable to an elementary universe supreme treasure and boundless divine power. Such a means and ability. Even if Master Sky Rock was given 4 hours, he would not be able to kill Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had said that he would give the Sky Rock ruler a chance to kill him in 10 breaths. He did not expect the Sky Rock ruler to say that he would only take 1 breath. 1 breath could only kill Jian Wushuang? Even if the Devil Cloud Star Master came personally, he might not be able to do so. However, the Sky Rock ruler clearly did not know this. Just as Daoist Shen God had said, he was indeed a supreme figure. Such a supreme figure would be somewhat arrogant or conceited. The Sky Rock ruler had such arrogance. He was a ruler and a superior ruler. Although Jian Wushuang had restrained his divine power, he could tell at a glance that Jian Wushuang was still at the level of a principal's master. Since he was only a principal's master, he could kill him in a breath's time. Of course, he could kill him easily. Soon, the Sky Rock ruler made his move. Rumble. As the Sky Rock ruler slowly raised his hand, the world instantly shook, and a world-shaking power instantly gathered in his palm. The sky collapsed, and the earth shook wildly. The thousands of fierce beasts on the grassland began to run for their lives. This was the Sky Rock ruler. The power formed with just a thought completely exceeded the limits of this special space-time. Boom! Suddenly, the Sky Rock ruler's finger descended. Chapter 3628. 1 breath space-time was completely crushed. Endless power was pressing toward Jian Wushuang, making him secretly shocked. Although he knew that the Sky Rock ruler was a superior ruler and would be very powerful, when the Sky Rock ruler really attacked, he was still shocked. Just the finger in front of him gave him a feeling that he could not resist it at all. If he fought it head-on, this finger could easily crush him. However, Jian Wushuang knew that this finger was not the strongest strength of the Sky Rock ruler. Jian Wushuang struck out with his sword. He slashed out with his sword and instantly activated the origin of the sword principal universe. However, in terms of power, Jian Wushuang only used less than 10 of the power of his sword. Although it was only 10, it was still much stronger than an ordinary principal's master. In addition to the ruler realm secret skill, Jian Wushuang displayed the most powerful battle strength of the principal's master that everyone recognized before he made a breakthrough. Of course, he did this on purpose. Bang! The finger directly collided with the long sword in Jian Wushuang's hand. Almost in an instant, Jian Wushuang's sword momentum collapsed and the long sword in his hand almost flew out. However, the finger of the Sky Rock ruler continued to attack. Finally, it landed on his divine body. A terrifying power suddenly exploded on Jian Wushuang's divine body. .bg container 632764337b6 display. Flex direction. Column align items. Center justify content. Center Z index. 214-748-3647. Important. Jian Wushuang let out a muffled groan and shot backward like a meteor. Until the very edge of the space-time, he smashed into the space-time barrier, which cracked. Seeing this, the Red-Eye Master, who was standing in the void, sneered, "Blood Sword Master is overestimating himself. He thinks he has some strength and is invincible among principal's masters, so he can challenge a ruler. What a joke. The gap between a ruler and a principal's master is not so easy to make up for. Moreover, he chose the clan master, the strongest superior ruler in this territory. Red-Eye, I don't think it's that simple." Xianxia Master suddenly said, "Look at Blood Sword Master. He's still alive." "Huh." Red-Eye Master immediately looked over. Sure enough, Jian Wushuang had already stood up. "You should be proud of yourself for being able to take my finger and not die. But that's all." Master Sky Rock's face was cold. He glanced at Jian Wushuang and then moved. A shocking power gathered in his hand again. It should be known that Jian Wushuang and Master Sky Rock were limited to 1 breath. 1 breath might be very short for ordinary cultivators, but for super experts like Master Sky Rock, 1 breath was enough for him to do many things. For example, when he fought with Jian Wushuang now, 1 breath was enough for him to attack Jian Wushuang at least 5 times. Just now, it was only the first time. Then, the Master Sky Rock attacked again with more power. In the face of the Master Sky Rock's terrifying strength, Jian Wushuang seemed to be vulnerable. He seemed to be trying his best to resist the Master Sky Rock's attack, but he was easily defeated by the Master Sky Rock. In the blink of an eye, The Master Sky Rock had attacked 4 times, and he had almost used up the time of one breath. He was just a little bit short of time. Sky Rock Ruler only had one last chance. Wang! Time and space started to tremble crazily. A purple glove appeared in Sky Rock Ruler's hand, and it gave off a suffocating aura. Supreme Universe True Treasure. As a top-tier ruler, Sky Rock Ruler had a supreme attack true treasure that was suitable for him. However, he had not taken out any of the previous 4 attacks, but this 5th and final attack was Sky Rock Ruler's. Clearly, he was going all out. Star-crushing finger. A fierce light flashed in Master Sky Rock's eyes, and a large amount of blood-colored fog surrounded him. The blood-colored fog gathered crazily and eventually formed a huge blood-colored vortex, as Master Sky Rock pointed out. The blood-colored vortex immediately covered Jian Wushuang. For a moment, the world changed color. The surrounding spectators, even someone as powerful as Daoist Shen God, had a drastic change in expression when they saw the blood-red vortex. As for the principal's masters, their hearts trembled. This power, Master, you used your full strength. Red Eye Master exclaimed. A top-tier Tier 7 ultimate skill. This is the strongest continuation created by Master. 200 million years ago, in the depths of Crimson Rock Mountain, when Master was fighting for a supreme treasure with a top-tier ruler, I saw the ruler use it. In order to kill Bloodsword Master, Master actually used his strongest ultimate skill? Master Yunchen was also shocked. The most powerful skill created by Master Sky Rock was not something that could be used easily. Normally, he would only use it when he was facing an opponent that was on par with him. But now, he had used it. Perhaps it was because the previous 4 attacks were not fatal to Jian Wushuang. In order to be safe, Master Sky Rock had used his killer move with all his might in the last attack. It was not only for the supreme true treasure magic weapon, but also to protect his reputation. The Sky Rock Ruler would definitely not allow a principal's master to live for more than a breath in his hands. Feeling the power of the Sky Rock Ruler's final attack, the corners of Jian Wushuang's mouth curled up slightly. As expected, I finally used my full strength in the final attack. Unfortunately, it's too late. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly. At this juncture, he finally stopped holding back. He had deliberately shown weakness in his previous 4 exchanges with the Sky Rock Ruler. The strength he had displayed could only be described as invincible among principal's masters, but it did not meet the standards of a ruler. But now, buzz! Jian Wushuang's divine power finally burst out completely. At the same time, he immediately activated his life divine power and heaven cleaving skill, making his divine power 3 times stronger than that of an ordinary ruler. In addition, the Blood Demon Cave armor he was wearing was a top-grade supreme treasure armor. As Jian Wushuang's strength increased, he could now activate the 2nd level of power, which was 100 times the power of the pinnacle of the 6th realm. This made Jian Wushuang's divine power a little stronger. Let me see how powerful a top-grade ruler is. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with excitement. The top-grade supreme treasure in his hand, the Cyan Spirit Divine Sword, also trembled slightly. In an instant, an extremely violent power rose up and a large area of flames swept over. It was as if it could burn the world. It was a 7th level advanced absolute art, Star Fire Burning Sun. Whoosh! The sword light fell. The 3 people who had been watching the battle in the surrounding void, including Red Eye Master, Master of Cloud Sinking, and Xianxia Master, were all shocked when they saw Jian Wushuang's sword light. Chapter 36-29. Ruler? This sword? How is it possible? Red Eye Master was in disbelief. The power of a ruler. This sword is definitely at the level of a ruler. It's even stronger than an ordinary ruler, Master Yunchen said. Has Bloodsword Master already broken through to become a ruler? Xianxia Master was also shocked. They were all principal's masters, so they could see that Jian Wushuang's sword was more powerful than that of a principal's master. It was definitely at the level of a ruler. But why had Bloodsword Master not shown his strength before? Instantly, the 3 principal's masters had a bad premonition, especially the Red Eye Master. Boom! The enormous blood-red vortex, with its incredible strangling power, finally collided with Jian Wushuang's sword light, which could burn everything in the world. Although Jian Wushuang had used all his strength, the power it released was barely comparable to that of an advanced ruler. However, He was facing the full-strength attack of the Sky Rock ruler, so the final result was still that Jian Wushuang's sword light was mercilessly destroyed, and the blood-red vortex still enveloped Jian Wushuang. Then, the terrifying strangling power completely affected Jian Wushuang's body. Splash! Jian Wushuang only felt that his divine body was constantly being attacked by divine power. Even though the power of the Blood Demon Cave armor was greatly weakened and his divine body was comparable to an elementary universe supreme treasure, the impact of divine power at this level still reached the limit of his divine body and began to destroy his divine power. In the end, when the strangling power in the blood-red vortex was completely exhausted, Jian Wushuang's divine power was also depleted by a full 1%. The BG container 632764337B6 display, flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647, important amazing. As expected of the Sky Rock ruler, he actually used 1% of my divine power in one strike. Jian Wushuang could not help exclaiming in his heart. He was truly amazed. It must be known that before he made a breakthrough, his divine body, which was comparable to an elementary universe supreme treasure, could already make an ordinary elementary ruler or even an advanced ruler despair. For example, the Heaven Ancestor had tried, but his full-strength attack could only deplete 1 out of 10,000 of Jian Wushuang's divine power. This was because Jian Wushuang was just standing there and did not resist at all. But now, he was using his full strength to resist. He had already unleashed his strongest move, which was to use Starfire Burning Sun to clash with the Sky Rock ruler's finger, which had already weakened a lot of the power of the finger. However, the last finger had still depleted one of his divine power. In other words, the power of the Sky Rock ruler's finger was hundreds of times stronger than that of the Heaven Ancestor. Of course, this was also because the Sky Rock ruler had used his most powerful supreme treasure divine weapon, but even so, it was still very terrifying. If the Sky Rock ruler can destroy one of my divine power in a head-on fight, then as long as he can find a way to stop me from escaping, I'm afraid there's a glimmer of hope that he can kill me. Jian Wushuang sighed inwardly. Jian Wushuang was amazed by the strength of the Sky Rock ruler. However, the Sky Rock ruler was overwhelmed with emotions. He's not dead. How could he survive my strongest attack? The Sky Rock ruler's eyes were cold. Not only is he not dead, but his aura is well preserved. In other words, I didn't even manage to severely injure him. The Master Sky Rock could not accept this result at the moment. Master Sky Rock, the time for one breath is up. Thank you, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Master Sky Rock took a deep look at Jian Wushuang. After a while, he nodded and said, Blood Sword Master, it seems that I have indeed underestimated you. The people of this territory have also underestimated you. Jian Wushuang just smiled awkwardly. This is what you want. Master Sky Rock waved his hand and threw an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang took it and scanned it with his consciousness. He was immediately delighted. There was nothing else in the interspatial ring except a sword, a floating black magic sword that gave off a terrifying aura. Thank you, Master Sky Rock. Jian Wushuang immediately thanked him. Take your things and get lost. Master Sky Rock waved his sleeve and turned around. Jian Wushuang was not annoyed. He glanced at Daoist Shen God. Ha ha, Master Sky Rock, sorry to bother you. Daoist Shen God laughed heartily and immediately left with Jian Wushuang. After Jian Wushuang and Shen God left, Master Sky Rock's face immediately darkened. Yunchen, Master Sky Rock said. Master. Master Yunchen immediately walked over. Go to the Heavenjun Pavilion, Master Sky Rock said. Heavenjun Pavilion? Master Yunchen was stunned. The Heavenjun Pavilion was the department in the North Sea Palace that was responsible for collecting intelligence. In this territory, not only the 3 battlefields, but also the various forces in the astral world were all collected by the Heavenjun Pavilion. Go ask the Star Palace and the Blood Sword Master. Once you have done that, come back to me, Ruler Sky Rock said. Yes. Master Yunchen immediately turned and left. Patriarch. The Red-Eye Master and Master Stonehate were still standing there. They raised their heads and carefully glanced at Ruler Sky Rock, but when they saw the look on his face, they were so frightened that they did not dare to say anything else. They knew very well that the Sky Rock ruler had lost all his face today. And the one who had caused all of this was the Blood Sword Master. After just half a day, Master Yunchen returned once again. Master, when I arrived at the Heavenjun Pavilion, I asked for information about the Star Palace and the Blood Sword Master over the years. However, there was no problem. I immediately asked them to investigate carefully and asked someone to inquire. In the end, they quickly found out that a major incident had happened in the Star Palace a few days ago. Master Yunchen's voice was somewhat anxious. What's the matter? The Sky Rock ruler asked. It's that Blood Sword Master. He caused a huge commotion in the Star Palace and even exploded with an incomparably terrifying divine might. That divine might even surpassed that of an ordinary ruler. The many Principal's Masters who stayed in the Star Palace saw it with their own eyes. They all believed that this Blood Sword Master had already broken through to become a ruler. Even the Star Palace Master, Temporal Temple Master, and Heaven Ancestor, when they saw this Blood Sword Master, they immediately addressed him as the Blood Sword Master. Master Yunchen said. What did you say? Hearing Master Yunchen's words, Red Eye Master immediately exclaimed. You said that Blood Sword Master has already broken through to become a ruler? That's right, and from the strength he just displayed, that is indeed a ruler realm battle strength, Master Yunchen said solemnly. Bastard, he clearly has already broken through, yet he still disguised himself as a Principal's Master to gamble with the Clan Master and let the Clan Master kill him within a breath. This is clearly deceiving the clan head. Clan Master, we cannot let this matter rest. Red Eye Master shouted sternly. Chapter 3630. One must accept one's loss. Yes, deceiving a ruler is unforgivable, Xianxia Master said in a low voice. Clan leader, that Blood Sword Master is not far from my North Sea Palace. If we chase after him now, it will definitely be in time, Red Eye Master said. Shut up. Master Sky Rock finally spoke. Red Eye Master and Xianxia Master were so frightened that they did not dare to make a sound. Do you really think I'm that stupid? Master Sky Rock said in a low voice. Do you think I can't tell whether Blood Sword Master is a Principal's Master or a resident? Red Eye Master was stunned. Yes, Jian Wushuang had shown his strength in front of Master Sky Rock. If he was really a ruler, Master Sky Rock would have seen through him. But the truth was, the Sky Rock ruler had always thought that Jian Wushuang was only a Principal's Master. In this territory, no one can hide their true cultivation in front of me. Even if he really got a great opportunity and cultivated a special secret skill to hide his aura, once he shows his divine power, he will be exposed. However, the Blood Sword Master was a Bone Master from the beginning to the end. Therefore, we can be sure that the Blood Sword Master is only at the level of a Principal's Master. There is no dispute about that. As for the breakthrough he made in Star Palace not too long ago, it wasn't necessarily a breakthrough to become a ruler. It was a major breakthrough in other areas, such as the laws or top-tier secret arts, which allowed him to instantly become comparable to rulers in terms of combat power, Ruler Sky Rock said. But the divine power he displayed during his breakthrough was at the ruler realm as well, Master Yunchen could not help but say. .bg container 632764337b6 display, flex direction, column align items, center justify content, center Z index, 214-748-3647. Important so what? The universe is vast, and it is filled with all sorts of strange things. Even though he is only at the level of a Principal's Master, his godly power is comparable to that of a ruler. There are also some in this universe, such as those special life forms who are blessed by nature. These special life forms have an astonishing innate advantage. The higher the level of the special life form, the greater the innate advantage. For ordinary cultivators, it is indeed inconceivable for Principal's Masters to possess the godly power of a ruler. But for special life forms, it is not impossible, Master Sky Rock said. Master, are you saying that the Blood Sword Master is also a special life form? Master Yunchen asked in surprise. The Blood Sword Master came from the Star Palace, and the origin of the Star Palace is the Divine Beginning Realm. I have some understanding of the Divine Beginning Realm, and I have seen a supreme character in the Divine Beginning Realm. If the Blood Sword Master is related to that supreme character, then everything can be explained, the Sky Rock ruler said. He was extremely certain that there were some terrifying special life forms in the universe. At the level of a Principal's Master, their divine power was already comparable to a ruler's. That was because many years ago, in the Quicksand Demon realm, 3 heaven-suppressing monoliths were born. He had personally fought for one of them. However, his luck was not good and he was not able to obtain a single heaven-suppressing monoliths. However, he could clearly see the process of that battle. There was one person who attracted the attention of others. That person was a Principal's Master. Although he was a Principal's Master, his strength was not inferior to an ordinary ruler. In fact, when he unleashed his full strength, he was much stronger than an ordinary low-level ruler. From the start, he was just like an ordinary Principal's Master, staying in the surrounding void. He did not participate in the battle until a perfect opportunity presented itself. He directly acted and suddenly unleashed his full strength, catching the other rulers off guard. He actually managed to obtain a heavenly suppression monument before escaping. During that battle, many rulers were ruthlessly tricked by that person. He, the Sky Rock ruler, was one of them. Naturally, his memory was still fresh in his mind. Later on, he also learned that that person came from the divine beginning realm. His name was Xianxia. Later on, although he did not meet Xianxia again, he heard some things about Xianxia. For example, after Xianxia refined the heaven-suppressing tablet, relying on the Steely, actually can burst out the top of the Dominator's combat strength, but at that time in this area caused a sensation. Although later do not know exactly what reason, this mystic one fell, but he created before those legends, but still. Therefore, with Xianxia's experience, he could accept that Jian Wushuang was only at the level of Principal's Master, but his battle strength was no less than that of an ordinary ruler. Regardless of the reason, regardless of whether Bloodsword Master had planned it in advance or not, he managed to survive for one breath in my hands despite being at the level of a Principal's Master. If he is willing to bet, he must admit defeat. Even I have nothing more to say, Sky Rock ruler said. If he was willing to bet, he must admit defeat. As soon as he said these words, the surrounding Red Eye Master, no matter how unwilling they were, could only be impatient. After all, the bet between Master Sky Rock and Jian Wushuang was a fact. It was also a fact that Jian Wushuang had won the bet. It would be a real disgrace if the mighty Master Sky Rock could not even accept his defeat. Listen up. Don't mention what happened today to anyone. Red Eye, let's put an end to the grudge between you and Bloodsword Master. In the future, if it's not necessary, don't provoke Bloodsword Master. If you meet him in the 3 battlefields, avoid him immediately, just like when you meet other masters. Do you understand? Master Sky Rock looked down. Yes. Although the Red Eye Master was still somewhat unwilling, he still nodded heavily. Master, are we really not going to pursue the matter today? Master Yunchen could not help but ask. How are we going to pursue it? Do you want me to personally take action and kill that Bloodsword Master? The Sky Rock ruler glanced at Master Yunchen. Let's not talk about my status. If I were to recklessly pursue and kill a Principal's Master, it would cause all the experts to laugh at me. Most importantly, that Bloodsword Master isn't weak at all. In addition, his protective techniques are even more inconceivable. I've already used all my strength with my finger earlier, but in the end, his divine power wasn't depleted at all. In other words, even if I attack with all my strength, I won't be able to kill him. If that's the case, then why should I waste my strength and not gain any benefits? Also, there's another point. This Bloodsword Master is only at the level of a Principal's Master, and his battle prowess is already so tyrannical. If he breaks through to become a ruler one day, how strong will his strength be? I'm afraid that even I might not be his match at that time. It's better for the North Sea Palace not to provoke a person with such incredible potential unless it's necessary. Although Sky Rock ruler was arrogant, he was not stupid. He was very sensible and knew his limits. He knew that he might not be able to do anything to Jian Wushuang. However, if Jian Wushuang grew up in the future, he might be able to do something to him. In that case, it was better for him not to provoke Jian Wushuang when there was no big enmity between them. Master Yunchen, Red Eye Master, and Shiyang Master also nodded and quickly left.